Barry Gibb was born on September 1st, 1946, in Douglas on the Isle of Man, the eldest of a family whose destiny would become inseparable from music. From an early age, it was clear that Barry possessed a rare instinct for melody and harmony, a gift nurtured by a household where creativity was encouraged rather than restrained. Alongside his brothers Robin and Maurice, Barry began performing while still a child, first in England and later in Australia, where the family relocated in search of opportunity. Those early performances were modest, but they laid the foundation for something extraordinary. What set Barry apart was not just his voice, but his ability to lead, to shape ideas, and to hear songs fully formed before they existed. As the Bee Gees took shape, Barry naturally stepped into the role of creative anchor, guiding the group with quiet determination. Long before fame arrived, the bond between the brothers had already become the heart of their music. The rise of the Bee Gees and a defining sound. By the late 1960s and into the 1970s, the Bee Gees had transformed from a promising family act into one of the most influential groups in popular music. Their harmonies were unmistakable, their songwriting sophisticated yet accessible, and their ability to evolve kept them relevant across changing musical eras. Barry's soaring falsetto became a defining element of the group's identity, especially during the Saturday Night Fever period, when songs like Stayin' Alive, Night Fever, and How Deep Is Your Love dominated global charts. Yet the Bee Gees were never limited to one genre. Barry's songwriting stretched beyond disco into pop, soul, country, and adult contemporary music, making him one of the most versatile composers of his generation. His collaborations with artists such as Barbra Streisand, Diana Ross, and Kenny Rogers demonstrated a rare ability to write not just hits, but songs that felt personal to each performer. Success came in waves, but family remained the constant beneath it all. Love, family, and a grounded personal life. Behind the global fame, Barry Gibb's personal life followed a quieter, steadier path. After a brief early marriage during his teenage years, Barry found lasting partnership with Linda Gray, whom he met in London in 1970. Their marriage, which began on Barry's 24th birthday, became a source of stability that endured decades of fame, industry pressure, and personal loss. Together they raised 5 children and built a family life that Barry has often credited with keeping him grounded. While the world saw a superstar, at home Barry was a husband and father who valued routine, loyalty, and connection. His children grew up around music but were never forced into it, allowed instead to find their own identities. Over time, Barry also became a grandfather, a role he embraced with pride and joy. In a life marked by public success, it was this private foundation that gave Barry the strength to endure profound personal tragedies. Andy Gibb, the youngest star with endless light. Andy Gibb, the youngest of the Gibb brothers, was a different kind of phenomenon. Where Barry, Robin, and Maurice rose together, Andy's success came suddenly and intensely. With a natural charm, an open smile, and a voice perfectly suited for pop radio, Andy captured hearts almost instantly. Hits like I Just Want to Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing made him a star in his early 20s, and Barry played a key role in shaping that success as a collaborator and mentor. To Barry, Andy wasn't just a younger brother riding a wave of popularity. He was a gifted artist with enormous potential. Barry often described Andy as having an effortless connection with audiences, a quality that couldn't be taught. Yet even during Andy's brightest moments, Barry sensed a vulnerability beneath the surface. Andy wanted to be loved, accepted, and understood, and fame, while powerful, could not always provide those things in a healthy or lasting way. The pressures of fame and unspoken struggles. As Andy's career accelerated, the demands placed on him grew heavier. Barry later reflected that Andy experienced success too quickly before he had time to develop the emotional tools needed to navigate it. Surrounded by attention, expectations, and constant scrutiny, Andy often felt overwhelmed despite his public confidence. Barry has spoken gently but honestly about this period, acknowledging that his brother struggled privately while presenting joy to the world. The family offered support, guidance, and love, but Barry recognized that some battles are deeply personal. He carried a sense of responsibility as both an older brother and a mentor, often questioning whether he could have done more. With time and reflection, Barry came to understand that love alone cannot always protect someone from their own inner storms. His words are not filled with blame, but with compassion, a recognition of how fragile even the brightest stars can be when fame outpaces emotional growth, loss, regret, and the weight of silence. Andy Gibb passed away in 1988, just days after his 30th birthday, a loss that permanently altered Barry's life. At 78, Barry finally spoke openly about the lingering pain of that moment, admitting that the last interaction they shared had been strained. The knowledge that there would be no chance to resolve it has stayed with him ever since. Barry has described Andy's death not as a single moment of grief, but as a lifelong absence, one that resurfaces unexpectedly in music, memories, and quiet moments. Over the years, Barry chose to focus publicly on Andy's talent and warmth, shielding the deeper pain from view. With age came the courage to acknowledge regret without being consumed by it. Barry's reflections are not confessions of failure, but expressions of love that had nowhere to go. Losing Andy meant losing a future that should have unfolded slowly, not ended suddenly. Remembering Andy. Through music and memory, for Barry Gibb, music has always been the language of memory. Andy's presence lives on in melodies, lyrics, and moments when familiar songs resurface without warning. Barry has said that when he hears Andy's voice on old recordings, time seems to fold in on itself, bringing back both joy and sorrow. Rather than allowing grief to silence him, Barry has used it as a way to honor his brother's spirit. Andy was not defined by his struggles, but by his kindness, humor, and the way he made people feel seen. Barry emphasizes that Andy's story is not one of tragedy alone, but of brilliance that burned intensely, even if briefly. By speaking honestly later in life, Barry ensured that Andy would be remembered fully, not as a headline, but as a brother, a son, and an artist whose light still reaches people decades later. Memory for Barry is both painful and sacred, the last Gibb brother and a living legacy. With the passing of Maurice and Robin in later years, Barry became the last surviving Gibb brother, a reality he has described as both humbling and heavy. Carrying the family legacy alone was never something he imagined, yet he embraced the responsibility with grace. Barry continues to perform, write, and speak about his brothers, not as distant legends, but as real people shaped by love, rivalry, laughter, and shared dreams. His resilience lies in his ability to keep their story alive without romanticizing the pain. The Bee Gees' music endures because it was rooted in genuine connection. And Barry understands that legacy is not just about awards or records. It is about remembrance, honesty, and continuity. Each time he steps on stage, Barry carries his brothers with him, not as ghosts of the past, but as voices that still harmonize within him, guiding every note forward. Truth, time, and enduring brotherhood. At 78, Barry Gibb's reflections on Andy are not revelations meant to shock, but truths meant to heal. Time softened the fear of speaking openly and replaced it with a desire to honor what was real. Barry's words remind us that family love is complex, filled with pride, regret, joy, and sorrow all at once. By finally sharing these memories, Barry did not reopen wounds. He gave them meaning. Andy's life, though short, left an imprint that continues through music and memory, and Barry remains its most faithful guardian. In telling the truth, Barry found not closure, but understanding. The bond between brothers does not end with loss, it transforms. What remains is love, imperfect, enduring, and deeply human. And in that truth, Barry Gibb stands not only as a legend of music, but as a brother who never stopped listening for Andy's voice.